Anybody have Psalm 119 memorized? Good. It's kind of joke you can't tell in all circumstances, right? Psalm 119, long psalm. I've actually tried over the years to memorize it because I pray through the Psalms every month. And there's certain sections I can say, but there's certain sections I just fall flat in my face. Because it's long, right? It's what we call an acrostic psalm, meaning it's an alphabet psalm. So in this case, usually acrostic psalms, first line begin the first letter Hebrew alphabet, second line next Hebrew letter, third line next Hebrew letter. This one's different because you have several verses, all of which begin with the first letter Aleph. Several verses, all of which begin with the second letter Beit. Several verses, all of which begin with the next letter, and so on and so forth. So it's long, a lot of verses. Longest psalm in the Bible. And what do you hear about over and over and over in Psalm 119? What's one word that you can think of that you hear more than any other word? Law of the Lord. That's it, law of the Lord. When you stop to think about it, it might seem a little bit strange. We have the longest psalm just goes on and on praising the commandments of the Lord, the law of the Lord. Well, I would urge that that's part of the answer. So Hebrew helps us out here. And this did revolutionize my understanding of the Old Testament, big time. When I realized that the word that in our English versions is rendered almost exclusively as law doesn't mean law. That's like calling a car a tire. Is a tire part of a car? Sure. It's not the whole car. You got to expand your meaning. Torah doesn't mean law. Torah is from the verb yara, which means to instruct or to teach. The Torah is the teaching or the instruction of the Lord. Now, I don't have to tell you that everything that God teaches us or instructs us about, reveals to us by means of His Word, it's not all commandments, is it? It's not all thou shalt and thou shalt not. Some of that's in there, but that's not all that's in there. So when we talk about the Torah, just do a little mental translation in your head. We're talking about the teaching of God, the Word of God. What He is revealing to us. And what He reveals to us, what He teaches us, is not simply don't do this and do this, but He also reveals this is who I am and this is what I do for you. Now, the reason this revolutionized my understanding of the Old Testament is because I realized all of a sudden, so Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, what we traditionally call the Torah, is not 5 books about law. These 5 books are God teaching us about ourselves, yes, about what He requires of us to do and not do, but also who He is, what He's done for us. The preeminent redemptive event in the Old Testament where God stepped in and saved His people is the Exodus. That's part of the Torah, where people who couldn't save themselves, who were trapped in slavery, in fact, who were so caught in the chains of despair that they weren't even ready to go out, those are the people that God, in the Torah, went and redeemed. Why? Because this shows us what kind of God He is. The Torah in Psalm 119, the Torah in the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah anywhere in the Scriptures is not just about me doing this or refraining from that. The Torah is God telling us who we are, who He is, what He asks of us, requires of us, as well as what He is graciously and mercifully doing in our lives. So when you read Psalm 119, for instance, what you're hearing here is a deep and prolonged meditation upon all the various ways God in His Word reveals His will to us. So it's not like you're spending all of these verses just meditating upon the 10 Commandments. It's way bigger than that, way broader than that. So when you hear the Torah of the Lord, or anywhere in your English Bibles where you see the word law, again, do a little quick translation in your head to Torah or to teaching, which is far greater than simply a list of commandments. Now that will revolutionize your understanding of the Old Testament because it's going to open it up not just to the law, but also to grace, to promise, to gospel.